The chamber of the Galactic Council hovered in absolute silence. A dome of obsidian and crystal suspended in orbit over the dying red giant Theta Orionis, it felt more mausoleum than court. Inside, dozens of alien delegations floated in anti-gravity thrones, scaled, feathered, metallic, translucent, representatives of the oldest empires in the galaxy. All turned their gaze to the lone human figure who stood at the center of the void, Admiral Rhea Cashin. She wore Terran black and gold, the sword of the Empire stitched across her chest in red thread. A woman of 42, tempered by the battlefield and stripped of diplomacy's politeness, she stood with hands behind her back, spine straight, chin high. Her voice, when it came, sliced the silence cleanly. "You summoned me. Speak." High Chancellor Vorix uncoiled from his perch like a serpent disturbed. He towered above the others, draped in bioluminescent robes that pulsed with each word. "Admiral Cashin, the Council has reached consensus. The Terran Empire's recent expansion, militarization, and refusal to adhere to Council treaties has made your species a destabilizing anomaly." Rhea arched an eyebrow. "An anomaly that's survived every extermination attempt in its history." Vorix ignored the jab. "You will dismantle your fleets. Cease colonization beyond the Orion Arm, withdraw from the Helios sector. Failure to comply will result in immediate enforcement under Council Law 49 Alpha." She said nothing. Behind her, the holographic display shimmered. It showed Helios 9, a Terran colony turned to molten slag. No warning. No evacuation. Just silence, then fire. 2 million civilians gone. Her brother, a teacher, among them. "You call that enforcement?" she said quietly. "You butchered the unarmed. And now you dress it up in law." "The Helios incident was unfortunate," Vorix replied. "But necessary. Entropy demands order. Humanity threatens equilibrium." Rhea stepped forward. "We offered peace. You sent plasma. You fear us, not because we're violent, but because we refuse to be ruled." The chamber stirred. Whispers in alien dialects. Unease. Interest. Vorix leaned closer, his 4 eyes narrowing. "You mistake growth for strength. You evolved quickly, yes, but recklessly. You consume. Expand. Corrupt. You have no place in the order we've preserved for millennia. Then make room." A murmur rippled across the chamber. Vorix's voice dropped to a hiss. "Is that your final position?" Rhea tilted her head, the ghost of a smirk forming. "Terra will not kneel." Vorix waved a clawed hand. A transmission blinked into the air. A grainy feed, real-time. It showed Trident 5, a Terran border station, under siege. Alien ships swarmed its orbit like hornets, launching kinetic strikes. Fire spilled into space. Screams echoed before the audio cut. A child's face flickered on screen before static overtook it. Rhea stared, motionless. "They were warned," Vorix said. She turned her back on him. "You just declared war," she said flatly. "And I don't think you know what that means." With practiced calm, she tapped the communicator at her wrist. "Cashin to Revenant. Prepare for departure." The council chamber erupted in voices, some condemning, others alarmed. But Rhea was already walking away. The starlight shimmered on her uniform as the exit irised open. The bridge of the TIS Revenant, Terra's flagship dreadnought, was alive with red light when Rhea stepped aboard. Her officers rose. Commodore Idris gave a grim nod. "Trident 5 is gone," he confirmed. 38,000 dead. No survivors. Rhea took her seat. "Then let's make sure they're not forgotten." The ship hummed to life. Outside the viewport, Terra's fleet was already aligning, 2 carriers, 6 destroyers, a dozen frigates. Silent steel in the dark. "War ready." "Janus update," Rhea said. The AI's voice flowed through the speakers, calm, genderless, efficient. "Council fleet estimated at 87 capital ships, en route to Zeus Corridor. Operation Null Bloom has commenced. Strategic probability of systemic assault, 91%. They think we'll break," Idris muttered. They think wrong, Rhea said. They've never fought Terrans on equal terms. Her fingers curled around the armrest. Time to teach them what we are. Hours later, in the heart of the Council citadel, Vorik stood alone, gazing at the stars. His aide approached. High Chancellor, the human fleet has mobilized. He nodded. I expected defiance. It is their nature. Should we accelerate Null Bloom? Vorik stared into the void. No, he whispered. Let them come. The galaxy will witness the cost of defiance. Yet deep inside, for the first time in over 400 years, doubt crept into the mind of the Zentari Chancellor. He had watched 100 civilizations die. None had stared back with fire in their eyes. Until now. The war room on Terra Prime pulsed with quiet fury. Admiral Rhea Cashin stood at the center, surrounded by projection pillars showing star maps, fleet movements, and casualty reports. The room smelled of ozone and recycled air, sterile, unforgiving. Around her, senior officers murmured updates, their faces hard. The death toll from Trident 5 scrolled silently on one screen. 38,000 names. A population erased before breakfast. She broke the silence. They struck first. Now we show them what Terrans do when pushed. Retaliation? Asked Commodore Idris, leaning over a glowing hollow map of the Zaius corridor. They've shifted half their fleet there. Expecting us to react emotionally. Rhea's voice was steel. We won't react. We'll calculate. She touched the hologram, highlighting the corridor's narrow hyperspace choke point. It was a bottleneck. No room to maneuver. Perfect for an ambush. They're arrogant, she continued. They assume we'll scatter. We'll funnel them. AI strategist Janus activated, its synthesized voice calm and precise. Predictive analysis confirms optimal strike at Zaius mid-sector. Council convoy ETA, 37 hours. Estimated casualties from direct assault, high. Probability of success with integrated deception protocols, 82%. Then we don't fight directly, Rhea said. We bleed them in the dark. The operation was codenamed Iron Fang. In a matter of hours, Terran forces deployed stealth buoys along the Zaius corridor, laced with gravpulse mines, silent killers that scrambled navigation and collapsed shielding on contact. Orbital decoys lit false distress calls from mock colonies. Satellites broadcast broken civilian chatter, looped to mimic terror. Council fleet picked up the signal and diverted, believing another easy culling awaited. They were wrong. The first mine struck with no warning. A Zentari dreadnought shuddered as its gravity core collapsed, imploding the ship from within. Before alarms could sound, 4 more detonated. Explosions blossomed in the void. Confused, the Council fleet broke formation, unaware Terran destroyers had been shadowing them for hours. Signal green, Janus confirmed. Engaging now. From behind a moon's magnetic shadow, the Terran strike group emerged like knives from velvet. No declarations. No mercy. The TIS Revenant led the assault, its railguns firing at relativistic speed, puncturing hulls before sound could reach command decks. Boarding pods smashed into frigates. EMP pulses disabled Council comms, sowing chaos. Inside the enemy ships, Terran shock marines swept through corridors in silence, their suits lined with adaptive camouflage and neural dampeners. Rhea watched it unfold from her command seat. Every second, another enemy icon blinked red. Commodore Idris' voice crackled through the feed. We've boarded their command cruiser. Minimal resistance. They're not used to being hunted. Remind them, Rhea replied. On the battlefield, victory didn't mean blood, it meant silence. Council vessels drifted, power gone, their AI cores fried. One by one, escape pods ejected, flashing surrender beacons. Rhea gave the order to tow survivors for interrogation. But one ship didn't flee. A Zentari warship launched a final missile, blind and desperate. It slammed into the TIS Valiant, a Terran support vessel. Explosion lit the corridor like a new sun. 70 souls gone. No warning. No defense. Idris's voice fell flat. The Valiant's gone. Rhea didn't flinch. Mark the debris field. Recover what you can. Orders for the survivors? Medical treatment. Then record everything they say. She stared at the last council ship flickering on her screen. Then send it back to them. Hours later, back on Terra Prime, the War Council reconvened. The mood was different now, grim, yes, but sharper. The weight of fear was no longer smothering. It had calcified into purpose. We hit them hard, Idris said, pacing. 7 capital ships gone. Dozens of frigates. We didn't just win. We humiliated them. Short-term gain, Rhea responded. Long-term? We've made them angry. Across the room, Janice pulsed. Enemy reaction probability, escalation. Intercepted communications suggest the Council will authorize planetary strikes within Sol system. Operation Null Bloom is no longer containment. It is extermination. A silence fell. Then they've declared it openly, Rhea said. No more pretending. An aide entered, breathless. Intercepted transmission from Council Citadel. You'll want to see this. The room darkened. Voryx's image appeared, projected in flickering green, eyes narrow. Your actions confirm what we feared. Humanity is not capable of restraint. You have chosen extinction. He paused. This time, there will be no negotiations. The feed cut. Rhea exhaled once. Then we stopped talking. That night, she walked the silent halls of Terra Command alone. Statues of long-dead Terran generals loomed in the dark. She passed one, Admiral Sakai, hero of the lunar resistance, and paused beneath his carved eyes. This isn't just a war, she whispered. It's a reckoning. She opened her palm, revealing her brother's old service coin. The edges were worn from years of handling. They burn Helios to send a message, she said quietly. Now we send ours. In orbit above her, Terran shipyards lit the sky like constellations. The Empire wasn't backing down. It was sharpening its blades. The Sol system had never known quiet like this. Not when Earth first split the atom. Not during the Martian revolts. Not even when Helios 9 went dark. But now, every colony, satellite, and orbital station was still. From Neptune's icy orbit to Luna's craters, humanity held its breath. They were coming. Rhea Cashin stood on the bridge of the TS Revenant, watching them arrive. Council vessels bled out of hyperspace in waves, vast constructs of alien alloy and living metal, shaped like spires, orbs, and wings. There were hundreds. A coalition of death, united in fear of a single species. Visual contact confirmed, Commodore Idris reported. Enemy fleet approaching Saturn. Estimated 5 minutes to engagement envelope. Status of our net? Rhea asked. Janice replied immediately. Defense grid online. Gravwell emitters fully charged. Dreadnought battle groups are in position. Mars shield is active. Good. No speeches. Just hold the line. She turned to her crew. And if we fail, make it cost them everything. In the skies over Mars, the first strike hit hard. Council destroyers targeted orbital defense rings with precision. Plasma lances sighed through hulls. Entire batteries went silent in seconds. But for every Terran station that fell, another answered with fire. From Phobos and Deimos, railguns retaliated, firing slugs at near-light velocity. A Centauri cruiser disintegrated before its countermeasures could activate. On Europa, Council infantry dropped in acid-proof exosuits. They met Terran resistance squads in frozen corridors beneath the ice. There were no orders to retreat. Only survive. Only fight. In high Earth orbit, the Revenant and her sister ships engaged. Firing solution locked, Idris announced. Fire. The Revenant's main battery screamed through vacuum. A projectile slammed into the lead Council battleship, piercing its shield, passing through its hull, and rupturing the core. It blinked out in an instant. From hidden craters on Luna, grav-pulse cannons erupted, disrupting the Council's formation. Terran drones swarmed in clusters, overwhelming their targeting systems. AI-controlled strike frigates looped behind enemy lines, unloading thermonuclear payloads point-blank. "They're adapting," Janice warned. "Counter-strategies detected. Probability of frontal breakthrough, 67%. "They won't get that far," Rhea replied. "Not while I'm breathing." But the enemy pressed on. Near Earth, the defense net buckled. A massive Centauri ship rammed a Terran destroyer, cleaving it in half. Fragments rained through the upper atmosphere. Fires danced along Earth's thermosphere. A single enemy dreadnought broke through and locked its sights on Terra Prime. "Redirect all batteries," Rhea snapped. "Janice, feed me control." The AI linked her directly to the Revenant's gun batteries. She tracked the enemy ship through smoke and debris. Targeting locks flickered, jammed by alien interference. She didn't wait. "Manual override. Firing solution, visual estimate." The bridge fell quiet. "Rhea," Idris said. "Trust me." She pressed the trigger. A rail slug tore from the barrel, bypassing calculations, guided only by her instinct. It hit. Dead center. The Centauri dreadnought split open like a dying star. Light flared against the viewport, bathing the bridge in gold. Cheers erupted. Even Janice paused before speaking. "Confirmed kill. Manual shot within 0.3% margin of optimal trajectory." "Lucky guess," Rhea muttered. "Statistically impossible." She allowed herself a brief smile. But it wasn't over. Reports poured in. Mars had held, but at heavy cost. Europa's ice tunnels were flooded with the dead. Earth's upper orbit was scarred and burning. Debris spiraled like rusted halos. "They're pulling back," Idris said. Council ships began to scatter, fractured, bleeding, leaderless. "Why?" she asked. "Janice?" Idris prompted. A beat of silence. "They've realized we're not breaking," the AI replied. "And their command ships are gone. The fleet is collapsing into independent retreats." Rhea leaned forward, staring at the tactical map. Red icons blinked out one by one. "They thought they'd crush us with numbers. But they never expected resistance at their own level." "Orders?" Idris asked. "Let the wounded flee," she said. "We'll deal with them soon." Later, aboard the Revenant, the fires of Earth still glowed below. Rhea stood alone in the observation deck, the chaos behind her fading into silence. The battle was over, for now. Terra still stood, but victory had not come cheap. The names of fallen ships flickered across the glass: Valiant, Ares Spear, Phoenix's End. She closed her eyes. Then the door hissed open. Idris entered, nodding solemnly. "We've compiled casualty reports. It's not pretty. Give me the summary." 21 ships lost. 12,000 confirmed dead. Civilian impact on Luna minimal. Mars is rebuilding. Council losses are triple ours. And Vorix? His ship never made contact. We believe he stayed at Theta Orionis. Rhea nodded. Then we take the fight to him next. Far across the stars, on the darkened citadel orbiting Theta Orionis, Vorix sat in his private chamber, watching the footage of his fleet's defeat. The Terran slug that destroyed the dreadnought was played on loop. He rewound. Watched it again. And again. A silent admission formed in the cold space between thoughts. They are not anomalies. They are inevitabilities.